All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a quick audio check. Could everybody just give me a chat back if you could hear me loud and clear? All right, Fernando, Wayne, good. Joseph, Craig, good. All right, the room just opened. We're just waiting for a few more people to log in. In the meantime, just want to kind of just touch upon a couple of things. First of all, just everyone, just like I said, just stand by for another few minutes, okay? Thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Fausto Puglisi from Cyber Training University. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the opportunity to be here today. This is something we do a little unorthodox when from going from closing bell and doing an exclusivity event. And, you know, it looks like it's going to be very, very nice, very interesting because this is the whole new year, going to 2015. And you know what? This is one of the best times of the year to start trading. Holidays are over. 2014's over. Holidays are, you know, everyone's back at school. People are ready to go back to work and start making money and start investing in the market. And you could see, due to what happened with today's markets, up 323 points. My God, I mean, if you look at the Dow, we had one hell of a roller coaster going from 18,100 almost way down to 17,200. It's just all over the place. And there's no better person to talk about it than who we have right now, which is who we have is Troy, who's going to talk a lot about learning how to identify the best short-term trading opportunities. Now, Troy is a very similar trader like myself. He's actually one of our new channel partners that we kind of want to bring in, and we always like to mix it up with new speakers, new presenters. And Troy's been, in other terms, his nickname, we call him is TJ. He's been trading for over 17 years, extensively trading experience in Forex, in futures, stocks, and he has a passion to teach just like me and like most traders that we bring out here, because you know what? We've seen the people that have failed in this industry, and there's no better way of learning than learning from multiple different people, and that's the beauty about being very successful in doing this as a career. Remember, I always tell everybody that 90% of your time is spent on education, 10% of your time is spent on trading. And that's what we're doing right now, and that's why we wanted you to be here today to listen what TJ had to talk about, because we feel that there's a lot of great content that will help you with your everyday trading. So with that said, don't want to take too much time from TJ. He's going to probably talk for about an hour. And, if you have any questions, feel free to ask him. This is going to be recorded for your listening pleasure, so if you miss it, it's going to be put on your dashboard on Cyber Training University and also be posted on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, and stand by, Troy. TJ, the stage is all yours.
Great. Thank you so much. Nice introduction. I really appreciate it, and thank you for inviting me today. And thank you to all of you for joining me at the end of a real busy trading session. I know that you've got a lot that you can be doing this afternoon. Like everyone in the modern world, we're all very busy, so thank you so much. I will try my best to make this worthwhile and make it worth your time. If you stick around at the end, I've got some free gifts for you, some nice a nice training package that NetPicks put together. And also, well, let me just get right to it. I'm going to talk to you about the trend jumper, which is a strategy that I created about 2.5 years ago. It's been on the market now for about 27 months. We're hitting all new record profit levels with a whole variety of trade plans. We've been trading the same trade plans the exact same way, day in and day out. We have a live trade room where we trade these plans. And whenever I show the trend jumper, I like to show you what happened today, what were today's trades. So there's no cherry picking, and I just, live or die by what actually happens. Okay, so that's how my style is. I want to get right to the charts. I have a few slides I want to get through. But at the end of the presentation, I want to show you how you can test drive the trend jumper for $1. And we have this great new program where you can literally lease the trend jumper and let it pay for itself versus having to put out the big dollar figure to buy it, which, of course, that's always an option too. But I'm going to show you how you can get started for a single dollar. But in the meantime, I also want to make this educational, and hopefully you'll walk away with something that, whether you get the trend jumper or not, it's still worth your time to be here. All right, so let me just jump right into the original or initial business that I got to get to. First, let me tell you about NetPicks. Okay, NetPicks is a company I work for, and I started out as a customer. And they heard me talking with some of their members in the chat room, I don't know, 7.5 years ago or so, and they hired me on as a trade coach, and I started hosting a live trade room for them. Okay, so basically we're all real traders. We trade live, probably in our 19th year now. Those are the two owners. Okay, we know how to succeed because obviously we're traders. We're in the markets every day just like you, and I was someone sitting in a webinar at some point just like you as well. So NetPicks started me out hosting a trade room. It was actually my idea. They said okay. They gave me a run at it. That's me in the upper left corner. And I've been doing it now for going on my 7-year anniversary hosting a live trade room. And along the way, I learned a lot of valuable information, and the trade room has really made me a much better trader. The main reason, of course, is because everyone's relying on what I call, all the trades that I call at the right edge of the chart, not knowing what's going to come next. There's nowhere to hide, and everyone's relying on what trade I'm going to call. And so I had to come to that realization immediately on that very first day, and we actually lost 17 ticks. We were trading the Russell E-mini, and there were about, 300 people in the trade room to try out the new service, and guess how many people showed up the next day after we lost 17 ticks on my first day? Well, we lost about half. And by the end of the year, we ended up gaining over 150 Russell points. So not bad for my first year, and since then, though, I've taken what I have learned and developed my own strategies. The first one is the 7 Summits Trader, and that led to our this one here, the Trend Jumper. The Trend Jumper is a culmination of live experience in the markets, calling a live trade room, everything I've learned along the way, etc. And that's what I want to show you today because it just works so well, and it truly does help pinpoint short-term trade opportunities in all kinds of markets. So I'm going to show you some day trading with futures, a little Forex day trading, mostly swing trading with Forex because I think that's really the best way to go for Forex. And then, of course, I'll end with some stock ideas as well and show you how the Trend Jumper works. And I'm going to show you about 85% of the Trend Jumper, how it works. It's incredibly versatile. It's very easy to use. It's practically plug and play. Of course, there are things you have to learn about trading in general, more that has to do with trade psychology and money management and just reading price action, just being smart about, listening to what the price is telling you, and that's all included in the training with a very active membership, owners club, and live trade room where you get repetition and actually learn how to trade this method live. I'm in there today, first week back since the holidays. Let me ask you guys this: how are you all enjoying the amazing volatility that we're experiencing in the markets? Hopefully you guys are getting some good trades, that you're finding some profitable opportunities. And if you don't mind just typing into the question box or the chat box, maybe let me know what you're trading. Are you trading futures, Forex? Are you day trading, swing trading, trading some options? Just type it in. I don't care. I just kind of want to see who's here today, and that'll help me kind of tailor what I'm talking about here. And stocks for Miguel, okay, we'll definitely look at some stocks. Day trading stocks, that's kind of interesting. I find that futures, for me, is the way to day trade, and I'll kind of explain why as we go. I see we've got some an ES trader. I think the ES is one of the hardest markets to trade. There are other markets I prefer, and I'll talk to you about that too. Definitely some Forex. So a little bit of everything, and that's good to know. What you're going to learn with the trend jumper is that you really could use it for everything. There's not anything that anyone's typed in so far that the trend jumper isn't going to work. You learn it once, trade it for a lifetime. It's based on pure price action. And one of the cool things about it, and when you see it in action, you'll see, it adjusts to live market conditions bar after bar. It tunes itself. But once a trade prints on the chart, that trade is there forever. It's never going to reprint because the bar has to close in order for the setup to occur. So it's not going to give you a setup and then you blink and all of a sudden, hey, where did that go? No, it doesn't work like that. You can rely on the trades, okay? Now, we all know that some trades win, some trades lose. A lot of people try to sell you, the dream that you're going to win 90% of the time, and there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and if you just go to the end of the rainbow, you're going to get the pot of gold. They sell you the dream. I don't do that. I'm going to talk to you about real trading, the reality of trading. Traders know, real traders know, and you probably all do too, that trades will lose. Trend jumper trades are going to lose, okay? It's a fact that there's nothing you can do to prevent losing trades, and if you could prevent them, well, guess what? It would be illegal. You think the government's just going to let you print money? They're not. Well, at least, we're going to print money, but we're going to do it in a way that manages the risk, okay? Because the way to make money trading is not the trade you're in, it's the way that trade fits into an overall trade plan. The trade plan's like running a business, which profits over time. Just like the casino has an edge on the blackjack table, our trading strategies, the trend jumper strategies, give us an extreme statistical edge. So then it's just up to us to execute the trade plan and manage our risk. Very, very small risk. Let your account grow over time. Treat it like a business, and as your account grows, you don't have to trade more, you don't have to work harder. You just increase your position size, sticking to a smart money management plan that always keeps your capital protected. Does that make sense? Could we all agree that that is common sense? Even though it's common sense, not a lot of people trade that way. Okay, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that as I go to the charts. So the way the trend jumper works, it's very unique. Just think of what it's like to jump on a trampoline. Okay, when you jump on the trampoline, you spring up into the air, and right when you get to that highest point, that's when you reach out and grab that target for profit. And that trampoline is going to adjust the springiness of it depending on market conditions, and the trend jumper adjusts for you. It's going to make those adjustments, okay? And you'll see that in a moment. For shorts, it could be like jumping out of an airplane, because you all know that a short trade could plummet, and it's very fun to be on board one of those trades, okay? Doug stating a comment I just want to share with you right now. Capturing price action is not easy. No, it's not, and neither is trading. Trading's not easy. This is a simple trade strategy to learn, but trading is more than just a strategy. Is it not, Doug? Trading is like a three-legged stool, right? The strategy is just one leg. The other two legs, money management and trade psychology, the most difficult to master. We teach you how to master yourself, because in the end, it's the guy in the mirror that you have to reckon with. And we've got all kinds of really great techniques to follow, tangible things to do, not just pie in the sky, esoteric theory stuff, actual physical things to do that will train you how to master yourself. and become a great trader. These are themes that come up every day in the trade room. We stick with it. We're very consistent. You'll see the results. Anyway, you can use a trend jumper for day trading, swing trading, long-term position trading. It's extremely versatile. All right, let me just tell you who should trade the trend jumper. If you're experienced, if you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, advanced, trend jumper works. The trend jumper is so versatile that once you master it, and you really should just become a student of the strategy as pure as it is, master it as it's intended to be traded, but once you do, it really is a great complement to a lot of other strategies. It's a remarkable tool. You could trade it in all those different markets. We talked about that. These are the 3 platforms that it will work on: TradeStation, NinjaTrader, and MT4. Of course, MT4 is a bit limited, and there's a lot of great ways to get involved with TradeStation and NinjaTrader for free, and we've got an amazing TradeStation promotion. They love trend jumper traders. TradeStation will pay for your trend jumper. TradeStation will give you the platform for free, and you literally can get started on TradeStation's money. And the reason they do that is because they've learned over the last few years that trend jumper traders tend to remain active traders with them. They succeed. They become great TradeStation customers. So that should tell you something. If you're looking for action, right? Someone mentioned something about not boring, not bored, Wayne. Yeah, I mean, the action definitely keeps you going with the volatility the way it is. TradeStation is definitely for active traders, and if you think about the title of this presentation, you know, that makes sense. And of course, simplicity. One chart fits all. You don't have to look at a bunch of charts. You look at one chart. It's all right there. Everything's reduced down to the one chart. Doesn't matter what's happening on the higher time frame, the faster time frame, all the confusing things that give you, you know, mixed signals, so you end up like a deer in the headlights. This says long, this says short, this says kill yourself. You don't know what to do. With Trend Jumper, it's right there in front of you. There's no guessing. One chart. It's all on there. All right? And here's the thing. One of the things we teach, and this is going to help you with that third leg, this is going to help you with the trade psychology part, is why you're trading in the first place. You see, most traders don't even take the time to think about that. Most traders think they know why they're trading, but really they're trading for some reason they don't quite understand, and they wonder why they're not getting the results that they want. But they are getting the results that they want. It's just that the thing that they're getting is due to subconscious stuff, okay? But if you can really zero in on your reason for trading, and there really should only be one reason, right? To make money. If you can zero in on that, then everything you do going after that, it needs to reflect that reason. And if you're doing stuff that is not based on making money, maybe it's trying to prove how smart you are, right? That's what most people do. Most people want to perform the market. They want to prove they're smarter than the market. For whatever reason, we're all egomaniacs, right? That's why we're traders. But you know what? That's the wrong reason to trade. For us, it's all about getting in, get out, get done, and then go live your life. We want to have a better lifestyle for when we trade. So we want to trade as little as possible. There's a concept for you. All right? Steve asking about Thinkorswim. I trade on Thinkorswim, but I use TradeStation charts. All right? The Thinkorswim platform is not robust enough. It's not going to give it just won't be able to do the trend jumper. It won't work on Thinkorswim. But I trade on Thinkorswim every day. Okay? You can use your TradeStation charts and trade with whoever you want, or Ninja or MT4. Okay? All right, so let's get right to the charts. I've been talking a lot, giving you a little bit of a foundation here, and I'm just going to scoot this out of the way. And now you should be able to see a whole bunch of charts. Here they come. All right. And the reason why I've got all these charts is because I want to jump around and show you a lot of examples. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you some of the trades that are what we do in the trade room. We're doing like 6 or 7 different markets every day in the trade room, same trade plan. And the one I like to lead out with is a market that most of you probably have never even thought about trading, but it is extremely dynamic and it does really well when you become advanced with Trend Jumper, you might want to give it a try. But I like to show it because it's very clean, and I could teach you the strategy really fast. And it's heating oil futures of all things, all right? And so we start heating oil futures at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so we're looking for our first trade. And what I want to first point your attention to, this is what happened today, by the way, the green dotted line, okay? The green dotted line is called the jump line. And that's going to act as your trampoline. You could see what happens here, for example, or here, going up, right? But this is all before our start time, so we're not interested in any of this. We stick to trade plans, trade plan rules that give us a proven statistical edge, and that's how we continually grow our accounts. And, you know, we literally know what we're doing because the rules of the trade plan guide our every trade decision, okay? So the jump line is a very powerful proprietary indicator. It does a lot of stuff for us. One is that it shows us momentum. When a trade, like on the right edge of the chart, sets up below the jump line, it means you're going short. You could tell because these little symbols here below the bar, well, they're below the bar. That means you're going short. Over here it's above the bar. That means you're going long. So you instantly know the direction that you're going to go when you take this trade. And that's a big deal, especially when you know it instantly, right? You don't lose time trying to figure stuff out. All right, so the jump line gives us that. It also shows us near-term support and resistance levels. All right, one of the principles of the trend jumper is it wants to find the near-term support and resistance level from which to jump off of. All right, it's a very important principle how this is designed. Another thing that the trend jumper does is it uses an old adage, a pearl of wisdom about trading. And if you have a trade strategy that's effective, it probably uses the same idea, and that is that the immediate past predicts the immediate future. Think about that for a moment. Why do we trade? Because we're trying to predict where the price is going to go, right? And if the immediate past can predict the immediate future, we should be able to identify short-term trade opportunities. And that's exactly how the trend jumper is designed. Okay? So now that you know of the jump line and you know that the trade sets up below the bar, all you have to do is click on the bar and your entire trade is laid out before you. Plan your trade, trade your plan, right? There's your entry, there's your target. We're going to go to the second target, usually with most everything. Every now and then we might go to the third target. We might even trade multiple positions to multiple targets. But let's keep it simple for now. The trend jumper usually designed to trade with one or two positions. All right, one or two. I'll put two arrows for two. All right, so the first position, we're going to get off at the second target. And the second position, we're going to use the power of the jump line, since it's identifying near-term support resistance levels and showing us momentum. Well, it also acts as our trailing tool, the tool we're going to trail. So every bar, once we go a certain distance, every bar that closes below the jump line, we're going to trail our stop 2 ticks above the jump line. Very simple, right? All right, so the bar is on the right here, this very bar on the right side of the chart. Can you guys see this? Doug Camp, I see you asking me what bar. So I'm looking at the very right edge of the chart because as traders, that's where we live, on the right edge of the chart. This is today's session. Notice the time is 9:09. We start at 9. Okay, so we're looking for our first trade. Prath asking what is this chart? Well, it's a 20-tick momentum bar chart. So we're going to use tick charts. We're going to use range bars. We've got time-based charts that we'll use from time to time. I'll show you some trade plans for that. And end of day, all kinds of charts. But range bars are awesome. All right. Now this Prath, this is not a tick chart. This is a momentum bar. So on Ninja Trader, it's a range bar. TradeStation has 2 kinds of range bars. This one's a momentum bar, but it's a range bar. So every bar is 20 ticks. And when the 20 ticks is over, as soon as there's an opening below or above, it begins to print a new bar. Okay, very powerful. It's outside of time. It has nothing to do with time. But what it does tell us is that our trades we could create a template with this kind of chart. It's really cool. And you learn how to anticipate where the entry is going to be while the bar is forming. Okay, so question. The trigger will be when the entry is hit. So the entry is at 6794. This bar closes at 6796. We're going to get in at 2 ticks below is usually what it is, but sometimes it'll be more or less depending on the trade plan. All right? So in the meantime, let's just see what happens. One other thing I'll tell you is that when you get to target 1, well, I'll show you that in a moment. Let's just see what happens. So it triggers in, right? That trade's a live trade. It goes in, and it zooms right down really quick. That's usually what happens with the trend jumper. Most of the time, the trades happen fast. In, out, done. Okay? So when you get to that first target, we're going to move our stop where that dot is here, and we're going to move it down to here, and we're going to lock in 1 tick to cover the cost of the trade. Now we have a risk-free trade. So one of the principles of the trend jumper is to get to a risk-free position as quickly as possible while still giving the trade enough room to develop. Now that's often very difficult, right? You'll all agree that usually you put in that, you try to take the risk off, and then you get stopped out for no gain, and then the price moves to your target, and you're sitting on the sidelines hating yourself for being too aggressive with your stop. And I'm not going to lie to you, every now and then that will happen. There will be times when you stop out with only 1 tick and then the price goes to full target. Yeah, anything could happen in trading. But there's other times when it'll stop out with 1 tick and it would have been a loss, and instead you're out at break even. So you kind of have to balance it out. You take it as it comes, but the trade plan accounts for all that. It doesn't matter. You just go to the next trade, right? So let me show you another thing too. All trend jumper trades have a real favorable risk-reward ratio. So if you happen to start out with a couple losses, you catch up really fast. So let me give you an example. The space between these 2 lines, the entry and the stop, that's how much you're risking, right? Well, check out where that first target comes off. Right there. You see? Not bad, huh? So if you lose 2 trades, you only need to win 1 trade to get to break even pretty much, right? So that's a good thing. Well, what happens when the stop moves down to your break even point? Well, you don't have anything at risk now. And that's how trend jumper works. You see, it's not just the dots on the chart, it's how we manage the trade once we're in it. And it's all based on rules. It's all taught very clearly. As clearly as I'm talking to you is as clear as this is taught. And you learn it. You'll learn it for sure. So look what happens. It pops through, take off half the position, but not only are we locking in 1 tick, but we begin to trail the jump line. Now the jump line hasn't quite caught up with the price action, but it will, and it starts moving lower, and with each bar that closes below the jump line, we move our stop 2 ticks above the jump line, and look what happens. This is today's trade. Comes all the way down. This is the last bar to close below, right? So the reading on the jump line is 6654. We're getting out at 6656 right there, and that's where you exit the other half of the position. Look at your risk-reward ratio now. This should make sense to you guys. I mean, this is how you identify short-term trade opportunities and take advantage of price action at the right edge of the chart. How all this is working is completely taught and disclosed in the training of the trend jumper. It's not a black box thing. I want you to understand what's going on and how and why the trend jumper works the way it does. If you become a student of that, then you'll be able to apply this exact same chart to whatever market you want, and you'll be able to see right away if that's a market worth trading. And as a matter of fact, when we get towards the end of my presentation, I'm going to do exactly that. I'll copy this chart and take some requests, and we'll put some stock symbols in there, and let's just take a look and see how it would have done, all right? So we'll do that, all right? As far as NinjaTrader, Larry, it's exactly how it is on TradeStation, okay? It's a plug-in. You install it. it starts working. It's going to look like this. You can configure your chart to look how you want it to look. Works exactly the same way. Obviously, you need a data feed. All right. All right. So anyway, Praf, heating oil. The reason why I chose this is because it's just a really clean chart. It's easy to explain the trend jumper. We start trading at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 1-point momentum bar. I mean, a 20-tick momentum bar. Excuse me. All right, and it's $4.20 a tick. Now, there's slippage in this. There's going to be several ticks of slippage, more than you would expect, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, let's just look at this trade one more time. You know, at $4.20 a tick, 2.5 ticks of slippage is only 1 tick of slippage on crude oil, right? So, you know, this got in at 6.794. The runner got out at 6.656. So, you know, that's a triple-digit gain. Triple-digit gain today. Not bad. Is it from value charts? No, this is from NetPicks. All right, so I'll give you a link where you can get started and give the trend jumper a test ride. I'll show you where you can get some free versions of NetPicks. There's a couple markets, and I'll show you some of those in a moment, where you can literally try it for free, and I'll even show you how you can start with the full trend jumper for only $1, and then it's just a small monthly fee after that. You can quit any time, or you can ultimately buy it for yourself if you decide you want it. Most people start with trend jumper, end up keeping it, because I'm not making this up. That happened today. That was today's trade. Let's go to a couple more. Let's look at the Dow Mini. We use a 377 tick chart. This trade plan, one of the oldest trade plans, makes new record profit levels almost every 10th trade on average over 2 years. I mean, think about that. That's a business you can lean on, right? That's what you're going to see with crude oil. Anyway, this one starts at 8:32 Central Standard Time, which is 9:32 market time, right? It's traded out of Chicago. We always keep things exchange time because there's people all over the world. And, you know, to avoid confusion, everyone's on the same page. You set your chart to exchange time. So 8:32, there's a lot of setups here, right? This is showing you a bunch of setups. We're not interested in what happens before our start time. So what we're interested in is what happens at 8:32. And you'll notice that there's a setup at the right edge of the chart that's about half a minute before 8:32. So then 8:32 comes right there. And before this bar finishes, you'll see there's another setup, but it already triggers into this trade. And that's the trade we take. And we're going to the middle target. It's exactly what I showed you. There's the entry. There's the target, middle target, 2 positions. You don't have to trade it any differently than what I just showed you. It triggers in. It hits the money management level right there. So now the stop moves from here to here, right? Risk-free trade. And it pops up, and look at how accurate it hits the full target before it starts dropping back down. You're going to see with Trend Jumper, the accuracy of these trades is uncanny. It's the trampoline. It jumped on the trampoline. It reached up at that highest point, grabbed the profit, just like I explained to you at the beginning, right? And now, what do? We trail the second position. We have 1 tick locked in, and we trail the jump line. Notice how it comes down and touches 86. Our stop is below that. And then we just trail up the jump line. And literally, now right here you would stop out, except that you learn, actually in this bar, right there, because 2 ticks below the jump line would be 30. But we always do what we call key level adjustments, and we get the price off of 0s and 5s. So we would put our stop at 29. But when I look to my left here, I see there's a little tick down, possible near-term support, remember right edge of the chart, and it's at 28. So I'm going to make a 2-tick adjustment on my stop and try to hide my stop around that bar, right? Because we're reading price action, aren't we? We want to read what the chart is telling us. We can make a tiny 1 or 2 tick adjustment. It's within the trade plan rules. Look what happens. On 2 bars, it could not get through the stop holds, and it moves higher. This is what we learn in the trade room and with the trend jumper training, not just dots on the chart, where there's a 5% art to trading, but you don't want it to be 10%, 15%. You don't want to be too much of an artist. It's 5%. And this is based on rules now. We know our rules. We know we're allowed to make 1 or 2 tick adjustments. This trade comes all the way up to here. And that entire trade makes, let's see, I wrote it down. What did it make? It made 16 cents on the first target, right, which is not so bad considering you're risking quite a bit less. But on the runner, it made 68 points. Altogether, it's an 84-point trade. Not too bad, huh? GB asking if I use different ticks for ETFs. What I'm going to do with ETFs, and I'll show you, is I just want to swing trade those. I don't see any point in trying to day trade stocks when you're only getting 2-to-1 leverage at best if you have a margin account. Why would you do that? You have to tie up enormous amounts of capital, and you work too hard to make too little. Why not just trade futures? 84 points, Doug, is $5 a point. Do the math. It's $420. And by the way, we also incorporate in our trading a dynamic goal-setting strategy. So we know when to quit. It's called the power of quitting. Imagine that. You're actually empowered to quit trading. Like I said from the beginning, we're not living to trade. We trade for our living. We want to have a lifestyle. We don't need to trade more to make more money. What happens next is you might lose. And then what? Then you have to keep trading. And your average profit per trade will go down. The way to make money trading is to have the highest average profit per trade possible, and that's net of all wins and losses. That's called expectancy. You've probably all heard that term, and most of you probably don't even understand what it is. It's very simple. The average net profit per trade, factoring in all wins and losses. The higher that number is, the more money you will make. As you grow your account, you just increase your position size. You never want to risk more than 2% of your capital on any given trade. And that's going to dictate to you how big your trade should be. And it might take you a while to grow your account to be able to add another position. And then it will take you not quite as long to be able to add another position. And then even less time to add another position. And eventually you hit that exponential curve where you're trading your maximum size. You can't trade bigger because you'll lose liquidity, you'll get too much slippage. Every market's different. But once you get to that point, I mean, you just ride your business. Instead of risking 2%, you're going to end up at some point several months down the road, a year down the road, where you're risking 0.1% of your capital on any given trade. Could you imagine, I want you to think about this, could you imagine putting on a 20-contract trade that only represents 0.1% of your capital? Are you going to be afraid of the outcome of that trade? Is that going to affect you psychologically, where you're going to try to, outthink the market and move your stop and avoid losing and all the things that make traders lose? You think that's going to be a problem for you when it's 0.1% of your capital, a 20-position trade? That's what you want to get to, right? It's a pathway. It's a process. It's a step-by-step process. You could start with one contract, and then when you grow your account, you earn the right to add the second contract. And then you might go up and down. You're going to go down some. There will be some drawdown. That's going to happen. But if you keep the risk small, you get kicked in the shins from time to time, but you never lose your legs. It's a very important concept. Let me keep going because I'm going to run out of time. All right, so I've showed you some futures. Some of my favorite futures markets to trade, crude oil futures. I trade it every day. I love it. And now that it's down to $40-something a gallon, I love it even more. The Russell E-mini, another one of my favorite markets, and I love soybean futures. If you're an ES trader, I got to ask you why. Why would you want to work so hard? The ES is so difficult. You hit your price, you don't get filled. What if you hit your target? You don't get filled. Now what? It's a quarter point tick, $12.50. It's a big percentage of the trade, each tick. And then it backs off a few ticks. You hit your target, you don't get filled, it backs off a few ticks. Now what do? Do you mark it out, pay more slippage? You pay so much in trade costs, it's hard to make money. And you're trading against Goldman Sachs? No, thank you. Let me give you an example really quick, okay, and then I'll show you why I'm soybeans. Let's just say you're going in on this trade here. There it is, 20.54.5, you're going to 26, right? It's a small 1.5 points. So, yeah, you could trade size. Yeah, you could trade 1,000 contracts. Okay, big deal. Let's just say you're going with 2 contracts. You trigger in. Now it hits the target. There, it hit the target. It's a successful trade, except that you're still in the market. It didn't fill you. And then maybe it backs off a little bit, right? And now maybe it'll come all the way back down to the entry. You don't know what's going to happen, but what do? Do you mark it out, pay more slippage? If so, you might get out somewhere in here. See my point? The ES is so hard. I don't even know why anyone, yeah, I could see why you would do it, but the learning curve is going to be very expensive. You should build your account up until you can learn how to trade the ES with real money. It's the only way to learn. And obviously, this one kept going, but you don't know what happened inside of this bar before it kept going, right? The ES is very hard. Now, $12.50 a tick, $50 a point. Why don't you just trade soybeans? Soybeans is so easy. It's so fast. It's a messy-looking chart here, but guess what? I'm not interested in any of this. We're already done. We start right at 8:30. This is what happened. It's a 5-tick range bar. The first one triggered in right at the open, and you have this thing, it's a phenomenon that could happen when the market's tight and the lines are together where you get this instant stop and reverse. And when that happens, we ignore it. We just stay with the first trade, all right? So it ends up stopping out. First trade's a long trade. It stops out, and then it moves higher. So we lose one, all right? The next trade is a short trade. You don't have to learn anything new. I already taught you the strategy. And you can trade this with 3 positions. You can go to the 3rd target. This one triggers in, hits target. We come out with half our position. We're trailing down the jump line, and it stops out, okay? So we need one more trade to get positive because the soybeans is a smaller bar, and so the risk-reward ratio isn't quite as good as the other markets. But we make it up on the trailer because it's so explosive. This is $12.50 a tick, $50 a point, just like the ES, okay? You take this trade right there. It triggers in. You're at risk-free at the first target. You're out at the second target. If you have a 3rd position, you're out at the 3rd target. If you have a 4th position, you're trailing, or one of these positions is trailing, gets out down here, and you literally make, out of these 3 trades, I think it ended up being 4 3/4 points. If you can make 4 3/4 points on the ES, great. It's not that easy. Sometimes it's almost impossible. But a lot of times you'll get into these trades and you'll be done in a minute. You can be done in 1 or 2 minutes. That's it. You're done. Go enjoy your life. Power of quitting, you don't need to trade more. Grow your account, add to position size as you go. You won't be able to get your position size on soybeans as big as you would on the ES. Okay, that's true. But that's why I want to introduce to you swing trading, because that's the best way to trade Forex, in my opinion. So someone asking what's the best futures to trade, and I would say there are a lot of great options, but it's different for everybody because a lot depends on your capital, your time of day, when you're allowed, when you can trade. Maybe you have to work. Maybe you can only trade 1 hour a day. Maybe you can trade all day. Your skill level, lots of good choices. Okay, I've shown you some. We could talk about some others, but I think natural gas is an interesting choice. Crude oil futures is my favorite, along with the 2 I told you, soybeans and the Russell E-mini. Of course, you got the Dow E-mini, the NASDAQ E-mini. There's a lot of choices, okay? Let's look at futures, Forex. So there's a day trading plan we use in the trade room. It's the Euro-Yen. It's a 5-minute plan. But I think I'm not going to show it to you now. I could, but I think the best thing to do is to swing trade Forex. And the reason why is because this is where you can get position size. You can go very large, obviously, in a multi-trillion-dollar currency market. And the brokers are always trying to get you, right? They're not your friend. They're increasing spread when it's convenient for them. It can be a challenge, and when you're day trading Forex, you know, you got to put up with that, and the smaller trades sometimes don't work out the way it looks on the chart. So I like swing trading. What I love about the end of day chart is that it takes about 20 minutes a day, and you can look at a dozen pairs. You can have plenty of action each week. Each pair you trade the exact same way. We're going to do a little different, though, in that we're going to exit a quarter of our position at, let's just look over here for a sec, target 1, a quarter of our position at target 2, a quarter of our position at target 3, and then we're going to trail on down with the remainder. You get to utilize the best thing about Forex. What is the best thing about Forex? Well, you're flexible with your position size. You can trade micro lots, you can grow it into mini lots, and eventually grow it into full-size lots. So you get more control over your position size so that you can tailor it to your risk parameters. Remember I talked to you about 2% risk, right? With these, we're going to even go less, because another thing about Forex, especially with the swing charts, the end-of-day charts, is that you can take advantage of macro trends, big moves that last for a long time, and you could build a position. And so we could take all these trades. One thing the trend jumper will do is it'll allow you to build a position. I didn't talk to you about that with futures trading, because I think less is more with futures trading. When you become more advanced, you can do similar things, and there are times like when the lines are crossing over and when they're turning, like up in here it's turning, the yellow line turning down, could be the start of a big trend. You could use that to build a position with your futures day trading in much the same way. Now, I've marked up this chart for a long time because I've been showing this chart for a long time. This trade plan goes back several years. I mean, when I was showing this way back here, this trade was happening, right? And then all of a sudden it turned around. That trade was a loser. Doesn't matter. Just think of what I told you. You click on the bar. There's your entry. You exit here, here, and here, and with each new position, you can add to your position. So you go in with 1% risk or less, 0.75%, because you could have 3 or 4 positions in the same market. You don't want to be over-leveraged in any one market. Okay? You can start out with a micro and let it build over time. Think like a business person. Keep the risk small. Let the advantage of the statistical edge work in your favor. From July through November, there were over 3,000 pips on this chart to be had. Okay? Now imagine working just 20 minutes a day and being able to bank this kind of pips trading. Instead of, like most futures traders, who live in front of their charts 24/7, instead of sleeping with their spouse, they sleep with their laptop. They're driving down the road and their cell phone goes off. They have to pull off the road and call their broker and make a trade or whatever. I mean, to me, that's no way to live, and that's no way to trade. To me, my opinion, I've been doing this a while, hopefully you guys get that, is less is more, and I just want to trade a few minutes a day, and then I want to go make dinner because I like to cook. I live in Napa, you know. I want to live my lifestyle. And I want to remove myself from the equation because the last thing the trade needs is for me to get my own damn way, right? Could you all agree with that? Do we all kind of mess up our own trades? If we just would have stuck with the plan, etc., fill in the blank, right? We all kind of go through that, yeah? So the 20-minute-a-day plan with the end-of-day charts is great for you because you set it and forget it. In the morning tomorrow, you could look and see the price is going to move really fast sometimes. There are times, let me just show you, when you're going to get this really strong move and it's going to hit targets and you want to move your stop intra-bar and protect some of your trades, all right? Like this one, the pound Aussie. How many of you trade the pound Aussie? All right? Awesome market to trade. Most of you probably trade the Euro US. Not as easy a market to trade. Everyone trades the Euro US. Why go with the herd? Anyway, this one triggers in, and look what happens in one day, or actually 2 days, it spikes down and hits that first target. Well, at that point, you want to start trailing down the jump line. So if that happens intraday, you check in the morning, you can move your stop down. All right, so you check it twice a day. Just hit the second target. Now, this looks all good and dandy, and I'm just kind of showing you a couple pairs, what happened immediately. But let me go back and show you what I was talking about with this very same chart way back when the trend jumper was just coming out. Whoops. This is what happened. This is what I mean by taking advantage of monster moves. Now, you see a lot of numbers and lines, and it could be confusing, but each trade is self-tuning, tradable. You manage each one identical, and it made over 13,000 pips. I mean, think about that. From April to June, 2 months, few minutes a day. I mean, 20 minutes a day is if you trade a lot of pairs, a dozen pairs. One pair, it's about a minute a day, maybe two. Some days you do nothing, right? So it averages out. But then look what happens. This trade doesn't trigger in. It literally almost does, but it doesn't, and it cancels. This trade doesn't trigger in. 2 canceled trades. So after all of that, it knows to keep you out. Then we get this long. This is really interesting. That triggers in. In the meantime, we get another trade. Look how much bigger it is. And that one triggers in. Market conditions change. Trend jumper adjusted. And then we get this little trade. Look at how that one happened. That one triggers in, and in one day it hits all 3 targets. Not only that, but look at how it hit this target. I mean, how did it know that before it fell down? These 2 trades, all 3 targets being hit. Well, what about this one? That one's still on the hook, right? Stops down here. Hasn't hit the first target. We're still on the hook for that. Look what happens. Look at that. I didn't make this up. It's just the same trade plan I've been showing you. And then it comes off, and this is a huge, huge trade. You build it up. You trade all 3. You could do it just each one independent of the other, manage it according to the rules. This is how the trend jumper works. Finally, it gets a losing trade on the blue trade, but not until it still gives you a nice quick winner. Again, the accuracy, right? Then it falls off, and more winners up, more winners down. Beautiful, right? 20 minutes a day, could you do it? Doug, these are your targets. This is what I showed you. This is exactly what I showed you with heating oil. Click on the bar. There's your entry. There are your targets. It's all there. It's very visual. It makes it extremely easy to trade. I typed in how many pips each one of those made. Simple. It's nice to be able to trade something where you don't have to get in your own way. You just lean on the system. You prove to yourself that the system works. I'm not expecting anyone to go in with blind faith. That's destined to lose, because a great strategy could be destroyed by a lousy trader. And if you don't take the time to actually build your foundation and learn it, build your belief in it so that you have confidence to trade it properly, I'm not trying to fool you. There's no way to win. But part of the training is teaching you how to do that so that you do learn how to just be the facilitator of your trade business, lean on the system. It's a very important principle. Let me quickly jump over to stocks. I got to wrap this up because we're getting close to the end of my time here. All right, so let's just, first of all, let me just say this can be done with custom plans too. So far, everything I've shown you is the standard plan. It works across all those markets and time frames, and I'll show you the standard plan on some stocks. There's some custom stuff you can do too. This trade plan was just published to the Owners Club. It's going to go live in a short amount of time. It's just some custom. It looks, there's more bells and whistles on this chart. But this chart, believe it or not, has made over the last, since Lulu started, this dates back to 2007. I think that's when Lulu started. It's made $301 per share of profit. It's won 79% of all its trades over the last 172 trades. The average profit per trade, per share, is $1.75. So it's like printing money, right? All wins and losses, it's netting out to $1.75 per share per trade. I mean, think about that. Wrap your mind around that. Profit factor 251. That's the equity curve on that one. It really took off. Anyway, this is a custom trend jumper plan. So the trend jumper can grow with you. Once you learn the standard stuff, that might be all you need, but you can take it to another level, and I just wanted to show you, especially with stocks, because stock prices range from anywhere from $10 to $1,000 and everywhere in between. So you have to learn a little bit of some customization. But let's try this experiment now, because I promised you I would. The standard plan, let's just take heating oil, right, back to the heating oil chart. I'm going to copy it. I want you guys to type in some stock symbols, and let's see how it does on a daily chart with any old symbol, right? Let's just give it a whirl, and you'll be able to see right away if it's worth trading or not. And I'll start it out. Let's start it out with a real popular market that's got lots of volume and low cost so that we can trade options. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that. I'm going to put in the Qs, okay? And then there's some other ones in there, so cool. We'll look at some of those. Now, I have a list that I just thought would be cool to look at. So this is just, we'll just look at whatever shows on the, the most immediate trades, all right? So let's just look over here, the first trade to the left, and work our way forward. There it is. You should know what that tells you. You click on it, there's your entry, there's your targets. You have nothing new to learn. If you wanted to trade options, which is how I recommend you do this, look at your entry, find an in-the-money put because you're going short, slightly in the money. You're looking for a delta between 60 and 70, and you're looking for enough time for the trade to work out. All right, so you learn how to figure what the average hold time is because you could get a big runner like this, and you want that option to be able to carry you. So maybe it's a month or two back or whatever, depending on the market, all right? So you could get the leverage you need, pennies on the dollar, right? So you could use the underlying stock to guide your options trades. Look at how it triggers in, and you have an inside trade, just like in Forex, we could build a position. Look at the uncanny accuracy of that little trade. Just look at that for a moment. 98.30 down to 96.36. I mean, that's almost $2. How much do you think you're going to make on a put option? These are inexpensive put options that makes nearly $2 in the stock, right? You see the leverage? You're going to get double and triple digit percentage returns. What if you're wrong? What if you get a trade like this, you buy a call option, and it actually loses? Well, guess what? You're never going to lose the total cost of the option because when it hits the stop, you're just going to liquidate your option. It's still going to have some value, and you're going to recapture some of that option. Some of the premium comes back to you. You see? You're never going to lose the whole cost of the option. You're really only risking between the entry and the stop. You're never going to carry that option to worthless. You see what I'm saying? It's a great way to trade. It really is. All right, so that's a good look at the Qs. Another very popular one, of course, the spider. And with all the extreme market volatility that we've seen, it's nice to know how Trend Jumper handled it, right? Well, this is the big sell-off right here. Look at how close the target is. This just happened, what, 3 days ago. And it caught it. And remember, I didn't do anything. All I did was change the symbol. The target is 198.78. The price got down to 198.85. Man, it missed by 7 cents. I don't know. Look at this. You're catching it here, 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 and then you have a little loser. And then you have another loser. And then you catch this one. That's a winner. You can get out at target one with some of your options. You see what I'm saying? All right, so there's a couple, I don't know what UNG is. Let's look at that. Someone wants to see UNG. Never looked at it in my life. Natural gas. All right. I like USO, by the way. US gas. US gas. So here's natural gas. You could tell if it's worth trading. You got a lot of gaps, right? Gaps are difficult. This looks like a nice winner, but you'd never get that trade because it gapped through. That looks like a nice winner. I don't know if I'd want to trade this one, right? But that's a valuable piece of information, is it not? How about, what's VLO? I don't even know. VLO. Someone asking about IWM. All right, so this is the Valero Energy. There's other energies I like better. This one looks a little bit choppy. But you can still see there's some winners. That one loses, but this one wins. This one loses, but this one wins. That one loses. Yeah, I don't know if this one I'd probably want to back test. Not sure if I'd be crazy about VLO. I think I'd rather trade USO. IWM with options. GB, let me show you. So, I mean, look at USO. You're catching the move down in oil, right? I mean, that's the kind of chart you want. That's going to make you a ton right there. And you can go back. I mean, I've got a custom plan for USO, and the custom plan has been amazing. The custom plan has won 75% of all its trades since 2006. 3.4 profit factor. Anyway, let's just look at the IWM real quick. Day trading, yeah, we could look at day trading too. We could look at some. Again, day trading works. It works really well. I mean, you could look at things like Facebook or Apple even. So here's the Russell, right, the IWM. I don't know if this is my favorite, but you can see it had a nice winner here, had a small loss. This one here looks like a small loss. I can't tell. Remember, I'm not making any adjustments. It's a $118 stock, so I might want to push the entries up a little. I might want to push the stops down a little to accommodate the larger stock price. Okay, but then it has a nice winner here. Like almost hits the target perfectly. Okay. If we want to look at a day trade, let's take a look at Gary. I showed the mini S&P and I talked about it in depth a little while earlier. So if you missed some of this presentation, you could catch the recording. I'm running out of time, and I want to give you the links and talk to you about how you can get started in case you want to give this a try. Again, we have this new program for $1. You can try it for, I think it's a week to 10 days, and then after that it bills for like $100 a month. And you can literally let it pay for itself. You could also buy it outright, and if you buy it outright, I think it's like $1,300 or $1,400. So no risk venture is what NetPicks is offering. Let's see. Let's look at Apple, and let's look at a day trade. I don't even know. I would like a tick chart. That's a pretty active one. Let's look at a 610 and see how that looks. Just a day trade chart, right? Apple, of course, is a great trading market. Let's just take a peek at it. Yeah, so Doug, that's wise. He's saying he wants to trade strategies that are best suited for the tool, and I don't blame you. Well, there's tons of trade plans on the Owners Club, but let's take a look at this stock day trade. This one, all right, so the market opens, it gaps way up. You're probably not, you're going to give the market a chance to get to the indicators because of the gap. And so I would say that, you know, once the indicators catch up, you got your first trade right there, and it's a winner. You could add your position. It's a winner. I've never looked at this chart in my life. You're done. Do you need to trade more, guys? You don't. If you can get one or two winners right away, get in, get out, get done, grow your account over time, okay? That's the way to succeed at trading. You need to manage your risk exposure to the market. Not a lot of people ever talk about this. Believe me, less is more. Yeah, $400 a day is dependent upon your position size. What if you only make $40 a day to start, but you know that in 6 months you grow it to $400 a day, and then 18 months later you're up to $4,000 a day? Does that work for you? You see my point? Think like a business person. You build it like a business. If you open up any old business, a dry cleaner at the new strip mall that's being built, the first year you might lose money, right? But you might corner the market in your town 3 years from now and have the most successful dry cleaning business within a 50-mile radius, right? Was it worth that first year? See my point? You want to treat trading the same way. Okay? Praf saying, I use Thinkorswim. Is it available for Thinkorswim? You could trade with whoever you want, but you have to have the right charting platform. This isn't going to work on Thinkorswim, which has terrible charting, by the way. Why would you want to use an amateur tool? Why? Use their trade execution tools. Okay, I'm fine with that. They're a little expensive. I use them, though. Yeah, TradeStation, NinjaTrader, or MT4. All right, and MT4 I think is a good hobbyist platform. You're better off with TradeStation or Ninja, especially when you can get Ninja and TradeStation for free. Especially TradeStation, they will pay the cost of the trend jumper through commission rebates. All right, let me just quickly show you a few things here so I could wrap this up. So markets to focus on. I know there's been some questions. For the smaller account trader, the YM, it's a good one. Natural gas, NQ, again, a quarter-point tick market. I don't like it as much, but it works. It works good. I like a 610 tick chart with that. It's a fib number. 377 tick on the Dowie Mini, maybe 233 or 377 with nat gas. Wheat's a great one. We didn't talk about wheat. Corn, not so much. Soybeans for sure. Crude oil, Russell E-mini. Those are my favorite day trading markets. For the smaller account, of course, crude oil, you need a slightly larger account. For Forex, there are not a lot of great day trading options for Forex, and I don't have the time to really talk to you about it in this presentation as to why. But we do like the Euro-Yen. It's the most consistent, it's going to move the best, and it continues to hit record profit levels with the trade plan that we use using a 5-minute chart, a time-based chart. Showed you some swing trading. Some of the under-the-radar markets, I didn't even talk about the DAX. The DAX, you know, go live on the French Riviera, open up your bottle of Bordeaux, and trade a few hours with the DAX, and you will live happily ever after. The trade plan for the DAX that we have using a 233 tick chart is one of the best trade plans I've ever produced. It's amazing how it keeps working for 2 straight years. Incredible. I didn't even show you that one. But that takes capital. You build up to that so that you can move to the Italian Riviera and hang out on all the topless beaches. Whatever, you know. Anyway. All right, so what traders are saying, lots of great testimonials. We don't ask for these things. Our inbox is full of them. We have so many happy campers. People love the trend jumper. I don't have time to show you if you want to snapshot these, and you can look at them later. You could visit our website. There's a whole bunch. I mean, these just always come in. I've got more testimonials. I could put a whole book out on them. There's so many of them. It's because this really works. All right, so let me just quickly get to how you can get involved. So there's this new thing that NetPicks is trying, and it's the first time they've ever done this where you could literally lease it. You don't have to buy it. If you want to buy it, you can. I can give you the purchase link. In fact, I'll type it in to the question box right now. If you want to buy it, it comes with a really great guarantee, money-back guarantee. TJ full. Could everyone see that? I just put it in into the question box here. That's the link to buy it. Now, if you want to try it for $1, right? You want to try it for $1 and lease it and let it pay for itself. You could always upgrade and purchase the license, the lifetime license. The $1 lease is, you know, it's $1 and then it's like 97 or 99 bucks a month after that. That's like 10 ticks on the crude oil, right? I mean, whoop-de-doo. It's like less than your phone bill. All right, so let me just show you. There's the link for that. And I hope you all give it a try, because I'm not just giving you some pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here like I started the presentation. This is real trading, a real strategy that really works, and we're going to teach you how to put that together with money management, trade psychology, start to finish, video training, and an owner's club that's got all kinds of advanced trainings, trade plans, and the live trade room. The live trade room is the way to learn. You're going to learn this in real time with me and some of the other coaches. All right, trade plans for all these different markets. We didn't talk about some of the European plans, but we literally have a trade room you could trade during the European hours, Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So it's a really great value, and it opens up to you with the lease. You get it with the lease. On the lease, you get 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, U.S., and you get the European. And you could always upgrade to 4 days a week if you decide you want to trade with us 4 days a week too. So this is all, if you decide to buy it, they give you 30 days. But you get ongoing access with the lease program. Normally it's $177 a month just for the Owners Club. You get it all and the Trend Jumper for like $97 a month. So you can see it's a really great value. If you do buy it, we throw in free shipping, unlimited email support, of course, comes with lease or if you purchase. And this is, let me just get to, see, you can see this Christmas special there. But this is the link if you want to buy it. Actually, what did I just give you? TJ Trial. Anyway, you got the links. So what I wanted to get to was this. This is a free gift. All right, I want you to copy down this because you can't click on it. You got to write this in. But this is a free gift for joining us today, and I think it's a free Trend Jumper trade strategy. It's free. I didn't show you the results of the free strategies, but they're pretty cool. They really work. You could try the Trend Jumper. I'll show you one of them is the Dow Mini 5-minute. I'll just show you today's trade. Oh, that's the 377. Let's see, the Dow Mini. It's a 5-minute chart. And this is free, and there's a trade plan and video training. It teaches you how to use it. This was the first trade. Doesn't look like much, but when you're at the right edge of the chart, it looks like this, right? And it looks like it stops out, but it doesn't because it hasn't triggered in yet. And that trade remains active, and it triggers in here. And it hits your target right on the nail. Get used to that. But then you trail the purple line, and look at it go. Huge trade. I mean, that's a free gift. That's not just garbage. That's a real trade strategy. Trend Jumper. And then there's the Euro US. It's the end of day. That's another one we give away. And this is how you, when you apply it to the Trend Jumper, this has won 71% of all its trades over the last 12 years. Our gift to you. So get that link. And if you want to visit the NetPicks site and get more information about NetPicks, you could also get the freebie stuff from there. It's netpicks.com. Right there. So there are the links that you really need. Above and beyond that, I didn't talk to you at all about the Premier Trader University, but I'm a faculty member, and they actually have the Trend Jumper as the main strategy that they teach. All right, so another little feather in the cap there. And then, of course, if you have questions, let me just talk to you about the 45-day money-back guarantee if you buy it, and then there's the Trend Jumper exclusive offer. If you lease it, I think they pay you up to $2,000 in commission rebates. That's like 20 months free, right? If you buy it, then they're going to pay you 150% of the cost of the Trend Jumper and give you the platform for free. No-brainer, guys. And we'll tell you who to contact and stuff. And like I said, they love Trend Jumper. They love Trend Jumper members. And questions. There's our number. There's our email. And my blog, if you want to read up on the Trend Jumper, you'll see over 2 years of history. You can look at all the old archived posts. And there's also a link where you could follow along a model Russell E. Mini trade plan. Whereas we started this in September, if you start with $5,000, what are all the trades and what's the running balance each and every week? And I'll tell you what, since September to the end of the year with just a single position, starting with $5,000, backing out all trade costs, it's already up to $8,000. So it's made over 60+% in 3 months. And as soon as it hits $10,000, we add that second position. Just the way we would teach you to trade it, right? And you could follow along with that as well on this blog right here. So this is information you're going to want. All right, so again, I can't thank you enough for joining me today. A big thank you to our friends at Cyber Trading University for inviting me. I can't encourage you enough to get your free trial, a $1 trial, get your gifts from NetPicks, and come meet me in the trade room. Say hello, let me know who you are, ask your questions, and I hope everybody enjoyed today's webinar. Let me put a last call out for any final questions, and then we'll wrap this up. Fernando says, thanks TJ, loved it, we'll sign up. Great. The link, yes. Well, the link is in the chat box. Let me give it to you one more time. Let me see, do I have it here? Yeah, there it is. You see it in the chat box? Very good, Larry. Glad to hear it, Larry. Mario, do you see the link? Make sure you guys see it. Okay, good. That's your $1 trial. You know what? We gave this $1 trial out, and I think we had like 100 people signed up for it, and I just looked recently, and most of them are still doing it. You know, they got their billing, they haven't quit, they're staying with it. It says a lot. It says a lot. All right, so I don't know if anyone's going to jump on and say goodbye, or if I should just close this down myself, but that's pretty much it. Let's see, last question, is the software downloadable? Yes, it is. We will give you a link. If you buy the product, we're going to ship to you the DVDs. You're going to have a tangible product, owner's manual, and everything. But when you lease it, you can download it right away, get into the training, get into the Owners Club website, and it's all laid out for you. There's a tab that says New Members Start Here. Very clear, very easy. And then, of course, the trade room, and you could always send in questions, and we even have people that will help you get it up and running if you need, okay? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Larry asking, what do you get with the trial? Okay, well, Larry, you get the trend jumper, right? So you have an ongoing lease until you cancel it. You get it. You also get the ability to get the trade station deal. You get access to the Owners Club so that you can come into the trade room and get all the materials, all the training materials and everything from the Owners Club, and you get to start using the trend jumper. All the training, okay? The suggested minimum account size, John, you know, with Forex, you can go very small. If you have a good broker that you can trade micro lots at 10 cents a pip, I mean, with $2,000, you can trade Forex. I recommend more. The more, the better. But if you can't make money with $2,000, what makes you think you can make money with $200,000? You know, you might have a lot of capital. You're still going to lose money if you don't know how to trade. So the important thing is, I didn't talk about this. I should have mentioned this. There's a document on the Owners Club called the Steps to Success Guide. It's a step-by-step guide. You follow it step by step. You don't even trade real money until you get to that step where you're able to. You earn the right of passage all along the way, and you become a real trader in the process. Like I said when I started, there are tangible things to do so that you have all three legs of that trading stool and a strong foundation to set it on. This is the type of stuff we teach. This is what comes with the strategy. All right? Good question. All right, guys. I've kept you long enough. Hope to see you in the trade room. Many thanks. Good trading to you. See you next time.